Check this out. This is how it normally looks. And if we pause it for a second and do our new method for today, and we press play, you can see it actually performs pretty good, and it's colliding with the mesh that it's supposed to collide, and it's not going through. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. This is something that I'm super excited to show you. This was a challenge to figure out how this works. Please watch the whole video because you need to follow things step by step for this to work. Usually for my last 3 videos, I've been speeding up my speech because I find that people like that. Some people have told me they don't, but with the views, I can see that people like that more. I'm not going to do that in this video because I am going in full instructor mode just to show you each and everything, single thing, step by step, because from afar, it looks very complex. And if you miss one little thing, it's not going to work. So make sure you watch the whole video and let's get started. All right, let's get into it. So first of all, you need to be in 5.4. And second of all, you need to make sure that your plugins for the Chaos Cloth assets are checked. Make sure that you do this. And remember, this is in beta. So make sure you check this before trying any of the things that I'm going to do now. So right click Physics Chaos Cloth asset. Now I'm going to name it Tutorial Kinematic. I don't know if that's how it's spelled, but it doesn't matter. All right, now when you open it, this is what you are going to get. Epic was kind enough to get absolutely everything commented on this workflow, and this is the regular workflow if you just want to use the Chaos Physics asset without the Kinematic Collider, which is what we're going to be learning today. So I already explained how this worked in previous video. I'm going to make a playlist for this video. If you have zero knowledge on how this works, then you should go watch the first video on that playlist and then you can come back. Now over here, we're going to need the USD. The way I got that USD was from Marvelous Designer. Now I had a PSA that you should have gotten a free Marvelous Designer license because that is how Epic wants the workflow. The workflow is actually pretty well done. It works out of the box. There is a way to do it without Marvelous Designer, which we're going to talk about in another video. But for now, we need Marvelous Designer, and you need File, Export as USD. I also have a video in the playlist on how I did this. So sorry I'm skipping some steps, but otherwise this video is going to be 2 hours long and nobody wants to watch that. Now all you have to do is load your USD over here. All right, so once we have loaded our USD, we need to actually delete this render mesh. And the reason why I think they delete the render mesh is that so it doesn't double up. And what you want from your USD, it's pretty much just the Marvelous Designer settings, because we can bring the render mesh a different way. If we go into the Captain Brooks, link in the description if you want to see how to get this example, then you see that they actually delete the render mesh and they add it again separately. So we can actually do the same because we use the USD import. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to add a delete element, and the delete element is going to get rid of the render mesh. I'm going to put this a little bit further back. We're also going to need a merge cloth collection, and this self-explanatory. What this now does, it merges the collections, and the way that you add more pins to it is just to right click, add option pin, it's right here, and you add a second one. What we need is the static mesh. How do we get that? Once you bring your USD, the folder where the USD is brought into Unreal also contains a static mesh folder. So this is where our static mesh is going to be coming from. So we right click, static mesh import. Remember, a static mesh import, not this one. And we're going to plug this one in here. Now we only want the render mesh. So we're going to uncheck the sim mesh because that's not important. And we're going to plug this one here, plug this one here, this one here. Now we're going to plug this one in here. It's going to think for a little bit, and you're going to see that nothing changed because that is the purpose. We're now using the USD properties from Marvelous Designer without using the actual render mesh. Now I have tried it like directly plugged in without this, and what happens is the mesh kind of like doubles up and it looks horrible. So I guess there's something in the code that requires this. Now once we're done with that, what we need to transfer weight. So remember, just like we talked in other videos, you need your mesh. So we're going to use metahuman tall normal weight skeletal mesh. Remember, for this, you have to click away and click on it back again to see the mesh that you just added. I don't know if it's a bug or not, but that's how it works. So we have the mesh that we needed. Then we need to add the weight maps to the shirt. So I'm just going to go into the 2D sim and paint the weight maps really quickly. I've already talked about how to do this, so I'm going to time lapse this bit. Okay, done painting the weights. Click accept. All right, so you can see our shirt is dangling. It's pretty good. If we just go out, it doesn't do it because it's loading the LODs. So just so you're aware of that, if you're here and it's not dangling, it's not that your computer's not working. It's just that it does it when you're closer because of the LODs. What we need to do, the other thing that we need for this to be kind of done is to add the physics asset. So we're going to look for male tall normal weight because that's a metahuman that I use. So we got that physics asset loaded in there. And now we can load male tall normal weight skeletal mesh right here. And as you can see, if I reset it, it kind of like dangles over him. And it's not looking great. Now, this is the regular workflow. Up until this point, everybody knows it, and it's on the playlist down below. What we're going to do to this is we're going to add extras after this in order to use this piece, this mesh, as a collider. So the reason for this is because of the physics asset that we have here. If we double click, you're going to see that your physics asset is composed of like capsules and spheres and whatnot. So this is what's giving you this. It's like going through when it doesn't collide with some of these. That's what we are trying to avoid by creating the what Epic calls the Kinematic Collider, which is pretty much using this whole mesh as a collider. Now for that, we're going to need a static mesh of this. And I already have one, but let me show you how you do it. So what you do is just double click into the skeletal mesh, and you're going to see this button that says make static mesh is going to create instantly a new static mesh for you. Here's one pickle that I have with this. The documentation says that the mesh that you're using should not have holes. However, if you go into the Captain Rooks, which is the sample that they provide, and you go into the static mesh import, let's see what we have here. Oh, there are holes in the mesh. Aha, I gotcha, Epic. So, does the mesh have to be without holes? My conclusion is no, as long as you don't have holes in the places where things are going to collide. I don't know if people from Epic watch this channel, but if you do, just let me know why is that a rule that you're not following with the example that you send us. I'm pretty sure there's a reason for that. So if you know about that, let me know in the comment sections. But for now, just so you know, you can use this mesh even though it has a big hole here and in the feed as well. Okay, let's get to the kinematic part. For that, we're going to need a static mesh import because, like I mentioned, you need a static mesh. I'm gonna click here. I'm just gonna look it up here. Male tall collider. And for this, we're going to uncheck render mesh. We don't need the render mesh, we need the sim mesh. After that, we need to transfer skin weights. So we're going to connect this here. And as you may have guessed, we're going to look for our skeletal mesh male tall normal weight. There it is. Next thing is going to be a selection node. I'm going to right click, type select. For some reason, it defaults to this one right here, but just scroll up. This is the one you want, the one that says under cloth selection. Click right there. And we're going to connect these two. Now, once you come back, you're going to see that there's nothing here in this viewport. Don't worry. All you have to do is switch 2D sim to 3D sim. And there it is. Now, what you're going to do here in this viewport is you're going to select which parts are going to collide with your garment. Because you're not supposed to select absolutely everything. This is just going to be bugging down your system. So I'm going to select just this part, which is the part that I selected that needs to be simulated. And we're just going to select a rectangle that goes all the way up to there. Probably around here should be fine. There you go. And this doesn't have back face occlusion, so it goes all the way to the back as well. I think that's enough, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to click accept. And now we continue. What we need in order to move on is another merge. So we're going to type merge cloth collections. We're going to add another pin. But before we do that, one thing that I almost forgot is you need to give this a name. You'll see in a little bit why you need to give this a name. Now, once we're done with that, we're going to merge this here. And we're going to get the end just right before the terminal. So just so you see where it is, it's the one that says proxy deformer LD0. It's right under this comment. So this is what you're going to get, and you're going to plug it into that new merge collection right there. All right, so here comes the main node that you're going to need for this to work. It's going to be simulation self collision. So just right click, type simulation, and go all the way down and go simulation self collision config, not the one with the spheres. This is the one that's already here, and that doesn't get us what we need. So we're going to do simulation self collision config, and it's going to give you this nice node with a lot of things that we need to plug in. So the first thing is we plug in collection to collection, which is grabbing everything from before, and it's grabbing our new kinematic collider and just merging it into this collection. The other thing that's necessary is to tell this node who is the kinematic collider. So you see here where it says self collision enable kinematic faces, it needs something here, and that something is what you got in your selection. So we're going to plug this one here, and now we need to fill these two. The way you fill these two is with the same node from the weight map. So I'm going to bring in the weight map distance all the way over here. And what we need from this is the name. We need to plug it into thickness and friction. Now let me explain before we move on. If you go into the captains, you're going to see that these are actually separate maps because they are selecting by sets. That's my assumption. As you can see, they have the belt loops, then they have the belt, and then they have the jacket. So this is something a little bit more complex, which we are going to touch in another video. Right now, I'm trying to get things as simple as they can be. So we plug the weight map from before. So this is supposed to be right here under number 3, paint max distance. I just brought it here so it's easier to plug it into the main node. That is pretty much it. All you have to do is connect, and there it is. This is how it normally works. So as you can see, it's It's just clipping right through the character. By the way, I just removed the pins because you can add pins and remove pins. I removed this so the LEDs weren't bothering. And we're going to plug this right here, see what happens. So this is how it works right now. Make sure you take note of where the shirt is clipping. And if we plug this in and we press play, it's not clipping anymore. It's beautiful. You see there's no clipping and it's behaving like, you know, a very loose shirt. And if we see it from the back, it's also behaving pretty well. And of course, it's only doing it to the part that I weight painted. Everything else that I didn't weight paint, it's not going to simulate. But as you can see, there is a huge difference between doing this and just plugging it in straight from the regular standard way. You can see all the clipping all around. Whereas if you just plug this one in, everything works fantastic. Now, once you understand how this works, everything else makes sense, because when I was looking at the Captain Brooks, like all these notes and all this extra stuff, it was breaking my brain. The only other note that they have here that we don't is this branch, which I'm not very sure the reason for this note. So if somebody in the comments know what this is, please let me know in the comment section, because I still haven't been able to figure out the reason for this note. I'm pretty sure there's a good reason for that note to be there. Always make sure you save all. This is a process that tends to crash a lot, because when I was trying to figure this out, I crashed several times. Now, there are other notes that if you look into the Captain Brooks that we don't have, because again, they're doing some selection set and more specialized stuff. I am going to be dissecting this whole thing, and we're going to do a much more complicated garment, adding all these options in the future. So make sure you subscribe for that. Now let's take a look at this on a metahuman. Okay, I have a metahuman here, and remember, you need to be using a metahuman that is the same size that you simulated inside Marvelous Designer. Now what we're gonna do is over here on body, we're going to click on body and add a cloth component. Here it is, chaos cloth component. And all we have to do is bring in what we just made and scroll all the way down and just drop it here. There you go, compile and save. And now we have our metahuman right here. All we have to do is give our metahuman a animation. So I'm going to give it a walking cycle. Once you've added the animation, you're going to see that it doesn't work because you need to simulate. So I'm going to start this. And as you can see, we got our metahuman. And everything is awesome because it's simulating with absolutely no clipping. And this is perfect. And I'm very surprised how easy this is once you figure out which are the correct notes to use. So thanks everybody for watching this video. Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end, because every bit was important. You need to follow every single step for this to work. I'm going to be making more videos out of chaos clothing because I think it's so fun, and it just solves so many problems when it comes to dressing your metahumans. So subscribe. There's the Patreon. My patrons are here on screen. Thank you so much. They support the channel. If you want to support the channel, if you can't afford it, then just leave a like, and leaving a comment goes a long way. It really helps the channel get out there. Share this video around if you know somebody that needs it. Follow me on Twitter. There's the Discord if you have any questions. And I'll see you in the next one.